Sports.
We are Sports. We are NC.
Mark Buehrle has more wins than any active Major League pitcher against the Royals. But last night, the Royals produced 15 hits against Buehrle, the most he's allowed in his 11 big league seasons. In the end, the Royals won their 5th game in a row, the first time they've done that all year. Game 2 with the White Sox is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. As the Royals are finishing strong, so is Felipe Paulino. He will take the mound tonight against the Chicago White Sox, coming off his best start of the season. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. I'm Ryan Lefevre. And as the Royals look forward to 2012 and beyond, most of the pieces are already in place. However, improving the starting rotation will be an off-season priority.
And Ryan, we know that starting pitching is where it really starts on a ball club, and the Royals have really shown that when they get good starting pitching, they can win ball games, as we've seen in their last 5 victories.
Royals have won 5 in a row with the starting pitching leading the way. So Paulino, Tiford, Chen, Hochevar, Francis, very impressive last time through. Paulino against Seattle, the most impressive.
Very impressive, and this is part of his game. He's got that kind of stuff that he can go out and dominate. And when he's on, strikeouts are a huge part of his game. And 11 strikeouts in that start gives us a glimpse of just how good he really can be.
And that was a season high for him, 11 strikeouts. His previous season high was against the Chicago White Sox back on July the 5th. He beat them with 6 solid innings. It was his first win as a Royal, and it was his first win, period, in 13 months. Another big accomplishment for the Royals outfield last night. Melky Cabrera with his 40th double as an outfielder, and the Royals outfield now the first in Major League history, all with at least 40 doubles. We'll take a look at the White Sox lineup when we come back. Play, students win. It is Futures Night at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals players and pitchers of the year from all of the minor league affiliates are here tonight signing autographs. If you have a question about the Royals' future, it is carsoup.com. Email the booth night. Go to carsoup.com/Royals, and we'll get to some of your questions during the game. Felipe Paulino will be facing this Chicago lineup tonight.
Well, Juan Pierre will lead off for the White Sox tonight. He's having a very good year as far as infield hits go. Leads American League with 43 infield hits and 19 bunt hits.
And a look at the Royals defensively tonight, presented by Ram Trucks.
Well, Royals outfield league leaders in assists. You can't get any better than this trio that the Royals have put out there this year. Mike Moustakas is back in the lineup at third base. And you got Felipe Paulino coming off 11 strikeout victory, going for his 4th win tonight.
Salvador Perez had a full night last night. He was 1 hit away from hitting for the cycle, and he picked off another White Sox runner. Perez and the Royals taking on the White Sox, and the first pitch is next. High definition, brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Get no fee HD with digital TV from Time Warner Cable. As we go out to right field and welcome in Joel Goldberg.
Ryan, thanks. I think it's Frenchie Quarter Friday, and of course, Jeff Francoeur doesn't need any promotions. He loves everybody, and everybody loves him. And typically, he comes out here to right field. He waves to the fans. He waves to me. He waves to the cop. He waves to the other team's bullpen. Then he waves to more fans. Actually, there might be one person that doesn't like Jeff Francoeur, because last night when he tried to throw out Alexi Ramirez to end the game at first base, Alexi didn't seem to like that too much. You showed it, and he seemed to be making a lot of faces over and over and over again at Jeff Francoeur. Either he thought it was funny and was making silly faces, or more likely, he was caught off guard last night. We'll see if there's anything that follows up with that last night. Frenchie said doesn't bother him one bit. Guys, nothing wrong with trying to throw a guy out, is there?
Just playing the game.
Got to play the game all the way through.
It'll be Felipe Paulino with his 18th start since joining the Royals. over 100 innings, only 9 home runs allowed in those 107 2/3 innings. He has given up 3 in his last 2 starts, striking out almost 1 per 9 innings, and having a career year in several categories. His second start against the White Sox, and he throws strike 1 to Juan Pierre. Pierre last night tried to open the game with a bunt single and laying one down to the third base side. Yamaiko Navarro came up and threw him out, and now he pulls it through the right side for a game opening hit. Another cool night in Kansas City and at Kauffman Stadium. 58 degrees at first pitch, so a little warmer than last night. Game started right on time at 7:10, and the time and temp is brought to you by the Parking Spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The Parking Spot at KCI. Outside to Alexei Ramirez. 2 hits and a walk for Ramirez last night. He drove in a run. He is grounded into 19 double plays.
Well, I think when a hitter hits the ball to the right field and Jeff Francoeur comes up and makes the throw to first base like he did last night, I think it kind of send a message in the hitter's mind that, hey, just don't be satisfied with a hit. You still got to hustle down to first base. And if Alexei Ramirez, with his speed, if he'd been thrown out on that play, I don't think that would have set too well with his manager.
Francoeur, as he stands now, is shallow in right field. So is Alexei Ramirez telling Jeff Francoeur, I'm presenting you with an out, the possibility of an out, but I don't want you to take it? No, really? I mean, is that what he's saying?
In his mind, he's saying, give me my base hit, throw the ball to second base. But if you have an opportunity to throw a runner out, whether it be first base or any other base, as a defensive player, you have to do that.
So if Francoeur comes up and hits a ground ball up the middle or through the hole, Ramirez isn't supposed to dive and take away a base hit? There's a ground ball through the left side. So 2 singles, and the White Sox have 2 on with nobody out.
That's a curveball that he really got. It's right on the end of the bat and pulled it in the hole. He was way out in front on it, just strong enough to hook it back in the hole in the left field. So good pitch, it's a little up in the zone. It could have been down a little bit more, been a lot more effective. But that just shows you guys just need to play the game hard all the way. Now, don't take anything for granted. Just when you hit the ball, just leave home plate. Just trying to get to that next base as fast as you can.
Paul Konerko unloading on the first pitch. He has 9 RBIs against the Royals this year and 130 in his career, which is the 3rd most for any player against the Royals all time. And for the season, he is right at 100 RBIs. Moustakas coming in, bobbles, but able to recover and throw out Konerko, and that moves Pierre up to 3rd and Ramirez to 2nd.
Well, you see where Moose comes in. This ball's right on the end of his glove right there, and he's got a habit of wanting to throw the ball back to his bare hand with his glove open, and rather than keeping it still right there and going right in and getting the ball. And you can see right there that ball, when he opened his glove, the ball rolled back down again, and it almost caused him trouble.
So 2 in scoring position for A.J. Pierzynski. And he's after the first pitch. Alex getting into position. Good speed at 3rd. Alex with the catch. Pierre to the plate, and the throw is low and offline. So Pierzynski drives in his 42nd, and Chicago takes a 1-0 lead.
No, Alex really didn't have an opportunity to get behind this fly ball so he can come through with a lot of momentum. He more or less started from a flat foot stance. So you see right there, he just stopped, and now he just has no momentum and everything just transfers to the shoulder, and that's why the ball had no carry at all.
Ramirez also moving up on the play, so he's at third with 2 outs to Alex Rios. And Paulino misses low, ball 1. Batting just .224 after having a comeback season last year. That was his first full year with the White Sox. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 of the most disappointing players for Chicago this year are signed long term. Alex Rios and the batter behind him tonight, Adam Dunn. He made contact. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Still 1-2. Rios is signed through 2015. So that's 4 more years after this year. And Adam Dunn is signed through 2014.
Well, 2 guys that really got to get it turned around next season. There's no way the White Sox will be able to unload those salaries, so they got to do whatever they can to turn these 2 players around.
Paulino's first strikeout, but the White Sox get 1 in the first. A light mist begins to fall at Kauffman Stadium. And here's the Royals lineup.
Well, Cabrera and Salvador Perez really had rare opportunities last night to get hit for the cycle. They fell short on that, but they both swung the bats very well last night.
Phil Humber has had a good year for the White Sox. Pitched briefly for the Royals last year. He is 9-8 with a 3.43 ERA. Good numbers across the board. A 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Spent some time on the disabled list recently. He was hit in the face by a ground ball off the bat of Kosuke Fukudome of the Cleveland Indians. So he missed a couple of starts. Last time out was Saturday against the Indians again. Gave up 2 earned runs in 6 innings. And in the start before that, his first coming off the DL, he had 7 scoreless innings against Minnesota. So Humber's only allowed 2 earned runs in his last 13 innings. Alex Gordon, Melky Cabrera, and Billy Butler. Fastball rides outside. Alex was 0 for 3 last night, but he walked 2 more times. Came around to score his 97th run of the year. 2-0.
Philip Humber, the thing that's really made him a little bit different is, other than he's had, this is his 26th start, but he's got a good running fastball. He's got a good cutter. and his curveball is good. And the one thing that really helps him is he does pitch both sides of the plate, and the number one reason for his success, he throws strikes.
Back to the middle. So Alex with a good swing on a 2-1 pitch. And the Royals, like the White Sox, with the leadoff man on.
Well, that's nothing pretty from a hitter's standpoint. He's taking a fastball and hitting it right back through the middle. The swing doesn't get any better now. Alex Gordon continues to hit, continues to use those hands, and the ball continues to just jump off his bat. The thing he does this year that over last year it looked like it was always an effort for him to swing. You know, he had a long swing. It was kind of under the ball. But this year, everything just seems so effortless to him.
Melky Cabrera was 4 out of 5 last night. He was a triple shy of hitting for the cycle. To center field, Rios back to get it. Gordon went almost all the way to second base, so he has to hustle back. The Royals come out with good swings tonight against Phil Umber. We remind you to look for the Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment later in tonight's game. Last night, Billy Butler hit a 3-run home run for the Royals. That turned a 3-2 Royals lead into a 6-2 Royals lead. And the final score was 7-2. It was Billy's 3rd career home run against Mark Burley. And Billy leads the Royals with 88 RBIs. Gordon runs, and Pierzynski's throw is in on a bounce. And that took Beckham down to his knees. Gordon steals his 17th. Ram Trucks will show us the White Sox on defense tonight.
On the outfield, Alejandro Diaz, that's a player that the White Sox really like a lot. They wait for him to really break out. And up the middle, Beckham and Ramirez is a keystone combination up the middle. Philip Umber is going for his first win in a while. He's 1-4 in his last 8 starts.
So Beckham, after getting hit by that bounce throw, given a little extra time to pull it together. And it's 1-1 to Billy Butler.
Well, that's what you want to do as a middle infielder. Your main job is to keep that ball from going to the outfield. And if he stays on the side and lets the ball get by, then it doesn't look good. So he did. He gave up on the runner and just wanted to make sure that ball stayed in the infield. It just got to get that leather in the right spot.
Right. Hit hard to left field. Alex is going to be waved home. Juan Pierre does not have a strong arm, so good call by Eddie Rodriguez. And now the throw gets past Pierzynski and Umber, and Billy Butler moves up to second base.
Well, Billy's line drive to left field, and whenever you got a runner on second base and the ball's hit the Juan Pierre in the outfield, third base coach Eddie Rodriguez is going to send that runner. You see where Philip Umber got caught right at home plate when he should have been deep behind home plate. That ball gets by. Now he can stop the runner from taking the extra base.
So an RBI single. Billy down to second on an error by Pierre, although it really wasn't that bad of a throw. And that's the kind of stuff that will frustrate the manager. I mean, you get pitcher knows where to be on a throw from the outfield. It's his job to back up home plate. So that's just simply not being in the game.
Well, they're taught to get as deep as they can at home plate, and I think that you get those mental lapses. And guys have been around a while. That should never happen.
And now Hosmer drills it into right field. Butler is held at third as this throw hits the cutoff man. Hosmer is out at first. So after one play where the White Sox didn't have their heads in the game, now a heads-up play, and there are 2 down.
And what a hitter needs to understand in this situation here, when there's a runner on second base, base hit to right field, the second base was going to first base. And so you got to make sure you see him because he's going to be there. And Konerko saw him. Beckham did a great job in running that play all the way through. See, that's right in front of Eric Hosmer, so he's got to see the second baseman come to first base in that situation.
Didn't help that he fell down. Tried to crawl back to the bag. So 9-3-4 for the out. 2 balls and no strikes to Jeff Francoeur. One for 4 last night with a double, his 45th of the year, tying him for the league lead with teammate Alex Gordon and Ben Zobrist of the Tampa Bay Rays. And that's hit well into left field. Pierre is going to play it on the bounce, so the Royals get the run anyway. Francoeur drives in his 79th, and the Royals answer the White Sox with 2 in the bottom of the first.
Now the Royal hitters are really taking advantage of Umber being up in the zone. Francoeur puts a good swing on this ball. Line drive that falls right in front of Pierre in left field, and Billy Butler's able to come around and score.
Mike Moustakas was not in the lineup last night. Yamaiko Navarro started at third and drove in a couple of runs. And Mike Moustakas is going for his first hit against the White Sox. 1 ball, 1 strike. He is 0 for 34 against Chicago. He comes into tonight's game with a 5-game hitting streak. Francoeur at first with 2 outs. One and 2.
Yeah, Philip Humber used a good cutter right there to get underneath Mike Moustakas' swing, and he went to swing in as if it was a fastball and recognized it was boring in on him and tried to hold up, but went around a little too far.
And did he go too far on that one? Yep. Todd Tishner, the third base umpire, rings him up. Royals get 2 in the bottom of the first. Ball is brought to you by AT KCA, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. By Panera Bread Catering. Order online at PaneraKansas.com. And by Chevy's, your Kansas City area Chevy dealers. So the White Sox get 1 in the first. The Royals answer with 2 in the bottom of the first. And Adam Dunn will lead off the second with a 162 batting average. 11 home runs, 40 driven in. Out of the lineup last night. Down 1 ball, 2 strikes. Movement on his fastball, and that was a big weapon for him on Saturday at Seattle with that 11 strikeout performance. He didn't walk anybody and only gave up 2 hits in 7 innings. Both were solo home runs. He only had 1 base runner actually on base while he was pitching all night, and that was Miguel Olivo, who reached on an error. So he was pretty much pitching out of the windup all night. Three balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most amazing stat was no walks. I mean, when I saw that, I said, man, he must have really been on.
And he was. Strikeout number 161 for Adam Dunn. Tomorrow we'll celebrate halfway to St. Paddy's Day. The party begins at 4:30 in the Outfield Experience. You'll enjoy live Irish music from Flanagan's Right Hook, green draft beer, and a sample of some of KC's best local Irish vendors. And the first 20,000 fans will receive this Royals green cap, presented by Commerce Bank. Worn all over the stadium tonight by our Fox Sports Kansas City crew. And for the guys outside, that's coming in handy, as at least last inning we had a light mist falling. 58 degrees at first pitch. So the heads are covered and the cameras are covered. Alejandro De Aza. 3 balls and no strikes. Batting at .316. He is playing in his 43rd game of the year. And that's a 4-pitch walk. So the first walk for Paulino, and what was even more impressive for him on Saturday, the 11 strikeouts and no walks, is that prior to that he was really fighting the walks. He had 22 walks in 27 1/3 innings going into that start Saturday against Seattle. And now jumps ahead of Brent Morrell, 0-1. Morrell was 0 for 4 last night and now 0 for his last 16 against the Royals, batting at .252.
Well, De Aza will run, and he's got 9 stolen bases. Been caught 4 times, though, but everything about him they like. They like his speed. They like his defense in the outfield, ability to bunt. So you can really kind of start to see a different White Sox team on the field for 2012, and some of their young players also.
No balls and 2 strikes. And 2. Appears to be a tight strike zone tonight from veteran umpire Tim Cheetah, who is the crew chief.
Now, Salvador Perez held that ball just a little bit longer than he normally would, just giving Tim a good look at it. A good running count if the White Sox want to run in this situation, 1 and 2. Normally it's a breaking ball count.
Not going, and it's fouled away. Royals have won 5 in a row. White Sox have lost 5 in a row, and they were officially eliminated in losing to the Royals last night. They have lost 11 of their last 16. Now De Aza is running, and once again Morel puts it into the seats on the first base side. Problem for the White Sox, or one of the problems the last 2 years, has been playing within the division and going up against the first place team. The White Sox are 6 games below 500 against the Central this year. They were 8 games below 500 last year. Two balls and 2 strikes. Another thing that the White Sox have in common this year to last year: 5-13 against the Tigers. They're in first place. Last year they were 5-13 against the Twins, who finished in first place.
That's a big difference, and head-to-head matchups really pay off big down the stretch.
Moustakas, they get the out at second base and turn a double play. So only 3 come to the plate in the second inning. When we came on the air tonight, we were talking about the nice run by the Royals starters during this 5-game winning streak. So another quick recap of the numbers, which leads into our Sprint You Call It question for tonight. What was the most encouraging start of those 5? Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, then a space, A, B, C, D, or E tonight. And as one PA announcer in the American League once said, leading off and batting first. And let's start with Frank White.
Oh. I'm usually first on it.
Yeah, Frank, you are.
I'm usually first. It's easy to be encouraged by Felipe Paulino. I mean, here's a guy that the Royals still don't think really know what they have in him, but he so far is probably going to be part of this rotation for next year. For him to pitch as well as he did last time and not walk a batter, it's easy to go with Everett Teeper because he's been in that picture for maybe a possible starter next year. But I'm going to stay with Felipe Paulino. I think he's made, even though he had that little stretch where he walked a lot of guys, that was a nice comeback his last start.
All right, so A for Frank. Joel?
I am going to go with Luke Hochevar, and I will admit that Felipe Paulino was dominant. His team isn't exactly the greatest of hitting teams right now. I do think Paulino has the ability to go out there and really get the strikeouts. And I was encouraged that he didn't walk anybody. But for Luke to do what he did, guys, battling the flu and going 6 strong innings, the tank was empty. To me, he learned something that game, and I think takes to win one for your team. That was impressive to me.
All right. So Joel's going to go with D. I'm going to agree with Frank. I'm going to go with Felipe Paulino, simply because of the 11-0 strikeout to walk ratio. And even though he gave up a couple of home runs, they were solo home runs, and just, doing the game that day, I mean, nobody was on base. A couple of guys circled the bases, but Miguel Olivo reached on that error. There was nobody on base. I mean, he's just pitching out of the windup pretty much for the entire 7 innings.
I like the fact, too, Ryan, that he takes the ball and they have to take the ball from him. I mean, there's no pitch count on him. There's no magic number to watch on him. He goes out there, and he's got the ability to dominate, whether it be Seattle, whether it be the Yankees. He's got the kind of stuff to beat good ball clubs. And if he's on, he can do that.
3-1 to Salvador Perez. He was a home run shy of hitting for the cycle last night. He has a 9-game hitting streak. Paul Konerko makes the play in between the line and the Royals dugout. 2 away in the 2nd inning.
Philip Bummer did a real good job of running that fastball up and in on Salvador Perez and forced that pop-up.
The truck, by the way, is going to go with B, Everett Tieford, as they are looking forward to the future. And right now, the majority of fans agree with the truck, 33%. Ben Hochhaver, 21%. Paulino, 18%. Two down, nobody on. Alcides Escobar has hit in 4 in a row. 2 hits last night, getting him back to 250. Laid on the fastball, and it is 0-2. Tried to get him with high heat. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And just stays with the fastball to put away Escobar. 2 strikeouts for Umber in the 2nd. Find the new Ford you're looking for at thoroughbredford.com. And brought to you by Moneyball in theaters September 23rd. Two balls and no strikes. Gordon Beckham leading off for the White Sox. 1 out of 2, a couple of walks, a run scored last night, and batting at just .229. Both pitchers allowing runs in the first inning, and then facing only 3 in the second. Felipe Paulino allowed a sac fly to A.J. Pierzynski in the first, and the Royals got RBI singles from Billy Butler and Jeff Francoeur in the bottom of the first. Second walk given up by Paulino. This one on 4 pitches. Leadoff man on. Let's go to Joe Goldberg.
Ryan, thanks. It's Futures Night, and that's always a lot of fun to catch up with some of these kids that have had great seasons. And Anthony Seratelli's with me. He was at Northwest Arkansas, their Player of the Year. Jake Odorizzi finished the year with Northwest Arkansas, but he was the Wilmington Pitcher of the Year. Jake, let's start with you. You guys just wrapped up, and I know you wanted to go a little further into the playoffs, but what was this season like for you, the first in the Royals organization after being traded for Zach Greinke?
It was a good first season. I mean, I was on winning teams. We made the playoffs here in Arkansas, and we didn't do exactly what we wanted to, but it was all about the experience. We had a good time, and all the guys, great. We played well around each other, and I had a great season.
For you, what has the last year been like? You were the top pitching prospect in the Brewers system, and then suddenly in the offseason you get a phone call that you and 3 other guys are headed to the Kansas City Royals for a Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah, it was kind of a shock. I mean, I woke up and a lot of missed phone calls on the TV, found out, and then from there on out, I mean, it just kind of felt like I was originally drafted by the Royals. Everyone's been so welcoming over here. It's been great.
And, of course, as someone that grew up outside of St. Louis, you've probably heard a little bit about the 1985 World Series. You guys are all young enough now, you don't remember that kind of stuff. But how comfortable are you on this side of the state?
Pretty comfortable. I think I'd be, it's comfortable on the other side too, but I'm glad I'm over here. It's a great organization over here. I'm very happy to be here. So, I mean, just happy to be here. Hope we can win in the next year or 2.
Jake, congratulations on a great year. Looking forward to seeing you up here in the future.
Thank you very much.
That is Jake Odorizzi. I want to talk to Anthony Seratelli because he's a great story. Had an amazing year, guys, at Northwest Arkansas. And, Ryan, you were talking last night about Josh Kinney playing for the Cardinals or pitching for the Cardinals coming out of independent ball. And that's what Anthony Seratelli did, a superstar at Seton Hall, and then you find yourself playing independent ball. How long of a journey has this been for you?
It's been a long road. It's been a fun road, though. I have a lot of different experiences. I didn't get drafted at a college, and I took a year off and then went and played indie ball, played a year there, and the Royals were nice enough to sign me. And I went to my first spring training, and that's what it's been since, just battling through the organization, trying to work my way up.
So you played for the Windy City Thunderbolts, and then from there into the Royals system, and now you're the Northwest Arkansas Player of the Year. But I know you and I were talking before, kind of a jack of all trades, and you like it that way?
Yeah, I like it that way. I like playing everywhere. It's the best way to go for me. I know that if I had a position, it would be tougher for me. I mean, you got Moose at third, you got Haas at first, Gio at second. Those guys are going to play their roles, and that's my role to move around. So it's a lot of fun for me, and hopefully that's the way I get up here.
Well, you mentioned Moose and Gio and Haas. We spent some time, those guys, and you were there during spring training. And I think it was Moose that was giving you a hard time. He said that the nickname they had for you last year was Coach, which doesn't seem all that fair. But at 28 years old, they give you a hard time, huh?
Yeah, they do. I still get it, but it was probably Moose or Gio. They all do it. I mean, when they all come up, I didn't sign the first day I signed here. I was on my 24th birthday, so I don't know if any of them are even. Gio just turned 24, so these guys have been through the organization or in the big leagues by the time I signed. So of course they're going to give me a hard time for being a little older.
Final thing, then. I mean, you see the success that you had this year. You're going to the Arizona Fall League. And I'm sure you'll be one of the older guys there, but yet you're still going at it. I mean, what keeps you going, and how much of a dream do you have of one day getting to the big leagues?
Oh, it's been a dream since I was a little kid. What keeps me going, it's just that my family's so behind me that I don't feel pressured to stop and have to move on with life and get a job and a family. They support everything I do, and I enjoy it 100%. So I'm not going to stop till they rip the jersey off my back.
I keep going. Anthony, congratulations. Jake, congratulations. And Ryan, I got to tell you, these are a couple names I know you could get used to. Saratelli and Odorizzi.
Anthony Saratelli.
From New Jersey.
That's right. Thanks, Joel.
All right.
Well, we think about all the futures nights that we've seen here, where those players come up from the minor leagues, and some of them winning the pitcher or player of the year in the very low minor leagues, and they win it again the next year, and the next thing you know, here they are helping the Royals win games. And I would think that to be here tonight more than any other night in the last several years, and to see all of these guys that have come up through the system in the big leagues, I mean, it's just proof that if you play well in the Royals system and you do what they coach you to do, you too could have a chance to play in the big leagues.
I think one good point for all the guys that have come up this year is the fact that they were really ticketed to come up in September, most of them, and maybe next year being the year that you see them all. But everybody exceeded their expectations in the minor leagues and got here a little bit faster than everybody predicted, and they've all been able to hold their own, and I think that's the good part. And like you said, seeing all those guys today, it just speaks well for our minor league system, and these guys have a lot of guys that they can look at and say, look, this is where they started. It's only been a couple short years. If I work hard, I can be right where they are, and it's all about creating competition.
There have been other years where they've had futures night, and you look out on the field and there are very few guys from the Royal system. You know, and you ask yourself, you know, what are my chances of making it to the big leagues here? Or what would it be like to go to futures night with the Boston Red Sox or the New York Yankees? I mean, I might get to the big leagues, but it's probably not going to be here.
Well, I think what helps your system is to have these anchors at this level, like Moustakas and Hosmer. You got Escobar at shortstop, Giovatella, and the more solid players you have at this level, the earlier you get them here, the more time you have to build your farm system and make it stronger. So you don't always have to have someone in the waiting for someone to leave. You can always have those guys stacked in the low minors. And when you do have to make a move, you got a lot of talent to deal with.
Paul Konerko drives in his 101st of the year and his 10th against the Royals this year, and ties the game at 2. So the leadoff walk turns into a run. And Pierre is at third base. A.J. Pierzynski comes to the plate, and he drove in a run with a sac fly in the first inning. Pierzynski went on the disabled list with a broken left wrist in the middle of August. He was hit by a Bruce Chen pitch, and then when he came back from the DL, he really wasn't doing much at the plate. That is a fair ball, a big hop. Hosmer to the bag to get Pierzynski, but the White Sox tied the game in the third. Coach McGarvey coached high school and college baseball and football for more than 30 years and now teaches Sunday school to folks of all ages. He has led nearly 100 mission trips around the world. Tied at 2, third inning, top of the order for the Royals, and Alex Gordon has already singled leading off an inning and turned that into a run. Single to center, stole his 17th base of the year. Billy Butler got him home, and then Billy came around on a Jeff Francoeur base hit. Another very light mist falls at Kauffman Stadium. Well, the weather turned quickly, didn't it? I mean, it was 90 degrees, I believe, on Monday.
Well, too fast for me.
On the ground, right to Beckham. One away in the third inning. And now Melky Cabrera, he lined to center in the first inning. Melky going for the cycle in last night's game. A home run, 2 singles, and a double in his first 4 at-bats, and then still needing the triple, struck out in his final at-bat. Melky has hit for the cycle in the big leagues, and in 2009 he did it against the Chicago White Sox. That was his final year with the New York Yankees. Batting better than .400 this year against Chicago. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Takes a curveball the other way, and Brent Morrell throws him out. So Umber's retired 6 straight. 2 down in the third inning. Phil Umber, back in '04, was not only the first-round pick of the Mets, he was the 3rd overall pick in the draft out of Rice University in Houston. He was a teammate of Jeff Neiman. And Rice won the College World Series the year before, 2003. And then involved in a big trade. Went from the Mets to the Twins in 2008 in the Johan Santana deal. No balls and 2 strikes on Billy Butler. Got to the big leagues for the first time in 2006, but only made 18 big league appearances between 2006 and 2009. And now he has set down 7 in a row as he has another 3 up, 3 down inning. And Alex Rios chases the first pitch. Francoeur was shallow in right field, so he calls Giavotella off the plate. And Alex Rios is 0 for 2. A look at the wideband internet pitch speeds brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Up to 50 megabits per second of pure online power. Paulino up to 98 in the first 3 1/3 innings. Phil Umber 92. Paulino has struck out 2 and 1 strikeout against Adam Dunn in the second inning.
Well, he really threw the fastball right by Adam Dunn for the strikeout his last at bat, and it's almost like Adam Dunn just waiting for the pitcher to release the ball before he decides what he wants to do, and that kind of puts him, too slow for the fastball and too quick for the breaking ball.
Lays off a fastball below the knees. Still 1 and 2. Coming up on Sunday, grab your furry best friend and join us for Bark at the K, presented by Bayer Animal Health. Packages include a human and canine ticket, a doggy toy, and a donation to local animal shelters. So that's the day after tomorrow, a 1:10 game with the Royals and the White Sox. There will also be live pet adoptions and a pregame parade. Very high to right field. Amongst the screams of young ladies just off the right field line, Johnny Giavotella makes the catch. All right, so in a 5-game winning streak with good starts from the Royals' entire rotation, what was the most encouraging? Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, a space followed by A, B, C, D, or E. Now 36% going with Everett Tiefert in his 5 scoreless innings against Seattle in his first major league start. Ball 1 to Alejandro De Aza. I
think you can see the frustration in Felipe Paulino. There's always one hitter in the lineup you just can't seem to find the strike zone on, and Diaz is that guy right now. And you just don't want to aim it in there, so you got to let it go.
That's the first strike he's thrown to him. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts for Paulino in 3 2/3 innings, allowing a run in the first and in the third. 2 and 2. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Diaz's kind of a bad luck guy. Got to the big leagues in 2007 and started his big league career with an 8-game hitting streak, but then rolled his ankle in the dugout. He was playing for the Florida Marlins, and he did that while the team was in Washington, so that ruined his year after a good start. And then the very next year, after he was able to come back and get himself healthy, in the second to last spring training game, he broke his other ankle, his left ankle, and he was expected to platoon in center field for the Marlins in 2008, so he had that season wiped out. So as you were saying, Frank, the White Sox, they like him. The Marlins liked him, but Just couldn't keep his ankles healthy.
Well, health is your number one asset in any sport that you play, and I really like it. He's got a nice short swing. He doesn't overswing, and it's really short to the pitch.
He has fouled off 6 straight pitches, make it 7. Chokes up on the bat.
You don't see that very much anymore. It's choking up on the bat, gives just a little bit more back control.
Another foul ball. Let me ask you this. Would you rather swing a lighter bat where you could get down on the handle, or swing a bigger bat and choke up on it?
Well, when I first started, it was a bigger bat, and I choked up until I learned how to go down on the end of the bat. But we were always able to go up on the bat with 2 strikes. So maybe 32 ounces being the best, the heaviest I would use.
Did he earn that single or what?
He earned it.
Man. 8 straight foul balls, and then singles to center field with 2 outs. So Paulino needed 11 pitches to get any kind of a decision.
And that's what good hitters do. I mean, he just waited until he got his pitch and finally got a base hit. But you foul off the borderline pitches, and sooner or later you're going to get the pitch you want. And a lot of hitters leave that in the hands of the umpire, and they end up walking back to the dugout.
And now Deaza with 9 stolen bases at first. And Brent Morrell takes ball 1. The reason I ask you that question is, it seems that guys these days are going with lighter bats, trying to get more bat speed. But if you were to swing a heavier bat, but then you can make the bat shorter by choking up on it, you're dealing with a bigger handle. Deaza is gunned down by Salvador Perez on a close play, and the White Sox are finished in the 4th. Boy, he looked safe from here, didn't he? Ozzie Guillen, your thoughts? That's what he thought of Alejandro Deaza being called out. Close enough.
It is close enough.
Did his hand hit the bag or slide right by the bag?
That's just a hand that never did go right to the front of the base as it should have. And if his hand goes to the front of the base, he's probably real safe. But he just kind of went around the base and he was tagged out.
So a good call by second base umpire Angel Hernandez. Eric Hosmer leads off. Hosmer singled to right field in the first inning, but then was nailed at first as the play continued, and Deaza threw it back to the infield, got it to Paul Konerko, who threw to Gordon Beckham. They'll have an infield single this time. Hosmer had rounded the bag and slipped, and he fell. The White Sox got him at first. And now leadoff single in the fourth, and he's 2 for 2. So Hosmer with another hit, and we'll look at tonight's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Top rookie averages since August 20th, so almost about a month. Salvador Perez, Eric Hosmer, and Mike Moustakas. Top three. And now Hosmer runs, and he'll swipe second base.
Eric Hosmer, I mean, he just gets a great jump right here, and he never looks in. He just goes head first right into second base. A good jump, a good read. So you're seeing those top three rookies for hits in a month. You see the all Royals players. I mean, it's nothing but optimism all year. You see all these guys coming along so fast, and you just want them to hold on to it and go into next spring and just continue to do what they're doing right now. But you know, you got to be very optimistic about what you've been seeing from the Royals young players.
2-0 to Jeff Francoeur. Drove in the Royals' second run in the first inning. Off the end of the bat, Hosmer got a great read, so he went on contact. He will score. The Royals regain the lead, and Francoeur has driven in 2 tonight.
Well, when you're on second base, you got to read the ball off the bat, and he took a split second to read it, and then he was off to the races. He scores as Eddie Rodriguez sends him to home plate, and Jeff Francoeur gets base and gets another RBI. It's just good reading. That's good base running, good turn around third. And scores easily on that base hit.
Mike Moustakas struck out in the first inning. Still looking for his first hit ever against Chicago. And trying to extend his hitting streak to 6 games. Well, Hosmer has already stolen a base, the Royals' number 4 hitter, and we know Jeff Francoeur wants to run. He has 21 on the year. The Royals already have 2 stolen bases tonight. Outside, 2 balls and no strikes.
I think part of the Royals base running tonight is more not so much Phil Humbers, but more A.J. Brzezinski not being able to throw, and they want to just try to take advantage of that.
Two and one. Francoeur jumping around at first base. Moustakas launches it to right field and gone. There's your first hit of the year against Chicago. It is a 2-run home run, and the Royals lead 5-2. So that makes it worth the wait. 0 for 35 against the Chicago White Sox, and he ends that with a 2-run home run.
Well, he does a great job, Ryan. They just balls go down. It's like a cutter. They went right into his bat, and He just really turned on it down underneath there, and he got through this ball very well. Finished high, and there was no doubt when he hit this ball where it was going to end up.
One ball, 2 strikes to Giavotella. Interesting, the Royals in the first inning, 4 of the first 5 hitters reached with hits, and then Umber retired 7 in a row, and now in this inning 3 in a row have reached, and they have all scored. And that's hit well to center, but Rios is there, and that is the first out of the inning. Pepsi Max is proud to be the official soft drink of the Royals and the Fox Sports Kansas City broadcast booth. Look for Pepsi Max at your neighborhood Hy-Vee food store. Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Salvador Perez hits it on top of the dugout sweep. Popped out to first in the second inning. The Royals with 5 runs, 7 hits in less than 4 innings. And Umber's curveball, his trademark pitch. 1-2. He's always had a pretty good curveball, and that goes back to his days in college. But he needed more than a curveball to be a successful big league pitcher.
Well, especially when the curveball has 80 miles an hour. That's a pretty hard curveball, and so you're right. He does need another pitch, a little softer pitch to go with that. But if he uses that curveball where you throw it at the hitter and get the hitter to flinch a little bit, that's pretty effective.
Still 3-2. Still 3 balls, 2 strikes. In addition to the Moustakas 2-run home run in the inning, Jeff Francoeur has driven in a run. 2 tonight, that gives him 80. So the Royals have 4 players with 80 or more RBIs. It is the 5th time in team history the Royals have done that, and the first time in 9 years. And now Perez walks with 1 away. So last night it was the 4 outfielders with 40 doubles apiece. That's the first time ever in Major League history. And now tonight, with 4 players with at least 80 RBIs.
Very impressive. What an offensive season for the Royals. Well, Philip Umber pitching to Salvador Perez that time. Every pitch he threw was to the outside. His last at bat, he jammed with a fastball up and in, but went completely away from it the last at bat.
Didn't mess around with Escobar in the second inning. Umber just came at him with hard stuff and struck him out swinging. A little bit outside, 2-0. Sinking liner to left, and Juan Pierre makes a nice diving play. 2 outs in the 4th. Well, the KU Jayhawks are 2-0, and on Saturday they take on Georgia Tech in their first road game of the year. Remember, they beat the Yellow Jackets last year in Lawrence. Kickoff is tomorrow at 11:30 here on Fox Sports Kansas City. So Bob Davis and Nate Bukaty are not with us tonight. Strike to Alex Gordon. They'll be broadcasting the game tomorrow. Both part of the KU radio broadcast team. Chop to first. Konerko will go to the bag. The Royals come up with 3, and they lead by 3 at the end of 4. So here they go again with a good combination of pitching, defense, and offense.
And that's when you see it all coming together. That's when you know what the offense looks like when it's going. The starting pitching, what it's doing, what it's supposed to do. And really the timely hitting is really important too. And that home run by Moustakas really gives Felipe Paulino a little bit of breathing room. And I think every starting pitcher kind of strives for that.
Brent Morrell, who grounded into a double play in the second inning, leads off, followed by Gordon Beckham and Juan Pierre. Hit well to center, and Melky is back to make the play. 1 out in the 5th. Royals baseball is brought to you by Moneyball, in theaters September 23rd. It's a carsoup.com email the booth night, and let's hear some of your emails with Joel.
Ryan, thanks. Artie Parker, North Platte, Nebraska. I think that you guys should have an easy answer on this one. Where does Paulino fit into the plans for next year, rotation or bullpen? Are we all in agreement on this one?
Rotation?
Yeah, rotation.
I agree.
Although, if he ends up in the bullpen next year, the Royals did something special during the offseason getting some starters.
On the other side of that too, Ryan, and you're right. I mean, if he's not in the rotation, he either pitches himself out of it or they add some amazing pieces, a lot of amazing pieces, but he really struggled in the bullpen with Colorado.
Well, the story that I was told when we were in Colorado, we asked, why did the Rockies want to put him in the bullpen? And Jim Tracy, when he was managing the Dodgers, he saw the transformation of Eric Gagne from starter into an absolute lights-out closer as Gordon Beckham singles into center field, a record-setting major league closer. And from what I heard, Joel, that Jim Tracy, who's now the manager of the Colorado Rockies, he thought Paulino was of the same mold, that you could take, a somewhat successful starter and turn him into an Eric Gagne type of back end of the bullpen type guy, and it just didn't work out the way it did for Gagne.
And really never did get that opportunity to start. And I know when we saw him when he first showed up in Texas, we said, "Who is this guy? How did we get this guy?" You know, he retired 11 consecutive batters in a stadium where the wind's blowing straight out, and it was a very impressive start.
And just after arriving too, remember he arrived right around batting practice, and and maybe the only difference, Ryan, with him and Eric Gagne, and I don't remember the numbers on Gagne. I mean, I remember the story, is just that Felipe had all this potential and what everybody said was amazing stuff, but he hadn't really done a whole lot yet as a starter, and now we're really seeing it.
Mm-hmm. And Felipe, he never criticized the Rockies. He just simply said, it didn't work for me. That he feels like he's a 4-pitch guy, and to pitch in the role that the Rockies wanted him to pitch in, he really had to reduce himself to 1 or 2 pitches and come in the middle of the inning with men on base. And he really feels like, at least at this point in his career, for him to be successful, he needed to be able to use all of his pitches, and therefore better suited to be a starter.
I think the only other key for Felipe is going to be staying healthy, and he's had some issues in the past, and we've seen a little bit of it creep up, missing one start and coming out of another one early. But I mean, the stuff obviously, guys, is there. Let's go to James Brockus in Columbia, Missouri. Where is Brian Bannister?
Well, we don't know for sure. He's in the United States someplace. He was in Japan, and when they had the earthquake there, he left and came home, and they didn't really like that too much, and I think they just put him on the frozen list, and he can't play.
Like Ted Williams?
Not like Ted.
Not actually frozen, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Rhino. So I don't think he's able to play anywhere in the United States until he gets a release from his team in Japan. And right now, I don't think they're at that point where they want to do that.
We're going to take 100.
Balk. There's a balk called on Paulino. Go ahead, Joel.
You take 51 games to have a frozen reference?
I'm going to leave that one alone.
A little flinch there as he was coming set. Right before Juan Pierre had asked for time.
Yeah, right hand started to move.
The earthquake and then all the tsunamis, and Brian Bannister, who has a young family, I guess didn't want to play in Japan that bad, as you said, headed back home.
He's a guy too, and I think you'll both echo this sentiment. He's one of the handful of guys where you see him at the big league level and you say, this guy has a plan for after baseball, and there's a lot of things that he's going to be very good at. And I think a lot of these players don't necessarily think of that until after the fact, but I've always thought he could go into anything at any time. A lot of interests. Aggie Grauerholtz, Kensington, Kansas. How many MLB teams have turf? I don't know if we can off the top of our heads, but I know the list is going
2, right?
Toronto and Tampa?
I think that's it. There aren't any domes in the National League. Paulino, a good fielder, runs to the line. He'll get Pierre himself. So Beckham goes to third with 2 outs.
How many when you were playing, Frank? A lot, right?
Oh, it was a lot when I played, yeah. St. Louis, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Minnesota, Seattle, Montreal, Pittsburgh. We even had turf in spring training.
Bryce DeWeese in Maryville. Will the Royals be able to keep their, what he says, quote-unquote, core veterans and young talent together for next year? There aren't really a whole lot of guys that are up for free agency, are there?
Slow roller and a tough play for Moustakas. All he can do is pick it up. So Ramirez gets an RBI with an infield single, and it is 5-3. Second time that Beckham has come around to score.
So free agents, Ryan and Frank. Jeff Francis will be a free agent. Bruce Chen will be a free agent. We'll see what happens with the Royals and Bruce Chen there. But most of these guys, whether it be being under control or arbitration eligible or deals that are already in place, like Billy Butler and now Jeff Francoeur, And most of these guys are going to be here next year.
I think that's the exciting part about it, Joel, is that everybody's expecting big things from this ball club going into next season, and by them having so much success on the offensive side, then being known that these guys are coming back again next year is pretty exciting.
And the question I get a lot from people is, yeah, but how much longer is Eric Hosmer going to be here? And I mean, they've got the ability to keep him here as a Royal. He won't be able to even hit the free agent market until after the 2017 season. So that's a long ways off.
That's into the right field corner, and it is foul. And a good thing, because that was a long, long run for Jeff Francoeur. Yeah, we hope Eric Hosmer is here forever, but if that's not the case, I'll take Eric Hosmer for 6 years instead of 0 years.
Well, if it's only going to get better than what you see now, your 6 years should be enough.
And when they called him up as early as they did, it potentially brought him, or in all likelihood brought him to arbitration a year early, which means he will make some good money earlier than some other guys. But it doesn't mean that he's going to be here any shorter of a time. Essentially, they're going to end up with him for close to a full 7 years.
There are some guys who benefit from the arbitration process because of the accomplishments of others. So, you know, if you're 65% of a superstar, well, then you should make 65% of what he makes. And then there are guys that set the market, like Eric Hosmer.
Yeah,
so if he ends up making $1 billion, good for him.
He's going to be a market setter, that's for sure.
And just to follow up, it's complicated, but with him getting here as early as he did, most guys end up being able to go to arbitration after 3 years. He, in all likelihood, will go after 2 years, which is similar to what Alex Gordon had. But again, it doesn't change when they're a free agent. Alex is not a free agent still for another couple of years.
First year being 2007. So this would be year number 5 for him in the big leagues, but then you take away some of the big league service time when he went down to the minor leagues. And that's why, so they're coming up on free agency, and then we've heard some whispers about a potential long-term contract with him at the end of this year.
Well, if the Ross can win in a couple of times within that 7-year period, I mean, it'd be well worth it.
But Alex, again, is a guy, I know a lot of people say, well, are we going to lose him, or they better get a deal done? And it's certainly, Ryan, you're right. We've heard the whisper. It sounds like both sides are interested in that. And Alex loves being here. It's close to home. But he's not a free agent after this year, too. So, I mean, I think there's a good chance we see Alex here for many, many years. Rock Pennington, Kansas City, Kansas. Will Irving Falou, Luis Mendoza, or Lorenzo Cain get a chance to be here this year? You know, obviously, Ryan and Frank, the success of AAA Omaha has put off some of these call-ups, and they're going to be playing, starting in a little while, Game 3, potential clincher of the Pacific Coast League Championship. And if they wrap that up tonight, there's a good chance we could see Luis Mendoza, if not a little bit more.
Oh, that's true. I like to see I like to see Mendoza myself. I mean, I really liked him in spring training, and I think Irving Falou might be a guy that I'd like to see maybe next year get a shot at being a utility infielder. I think he's pretty good in that role.
Ramirez was running, so he'll go first to third on the Paul Konerko base hit. So Konerko has his first hit. And first and third with 2 down. Irving Falou is a Royals lifer. Signed with the Royals in 2003 and played a couple of years in rookie ball. So he's the kind of guy that, like you said, would like to see him get a shot.
Well, I think it's a role that he would adapt to very well, because that's what he does in the minor leagues. And he fills in at shortstop, second base, the outfield, third base, and all those positions come to him pretty easily. A good team player, good teammate. And
it's interesting, in Mendoza's case, a guy that was up here briefly last year, didn't do very much at all, didn't have success, but he has been dominant in AAA this year. And Ned Yost saying yesterday, with now Duffy shut down and Tiford replaces him, and then Francis and Hochevar shut down, there are basically 3 dates that need to be filled, and they will be by 2 pitchers from AAA. And so Mendoza might get a crack at one of those or 2 of those dates.
Escobar makes the play, so a 1-run inning for the White Sox. Thank you, Joel. 5-3 Royals. Won 5 in a row with a starting pitcher getting a win in each of the 5. And in our AT&T trivia question for tonight, when was the last time 5 starters had 5 straight winning decisions? Well, it was 2008. Who were those 5 pitchers? Melky arguing that he was hit by the last pitch by Phil Umber. Konerko fires to Umber. So Melky's out 0 for 3. It did nick him. Didn't it?
Yeah, just it changed direction. Went right inside to Brzezinski, right on the toe. Well, he's
reacting like he was shot in the foot. But that's what you've got to do, right?
Well, I mean, I would. I mean, every time George fouled a ball near his foot, whether he hit it or not, he jumped up in the air like that. So he stole a lot of extra pitches that way.
Oh, 2 on Billy Butler. 2008. 5 straight starting pitchers. How about 5 straight wins from starting pitchers?
Zach would have to be one.
Okay. Gil Mesh.
That's 2.
Kyle Davies.
That's 3. Robinson Tejeda.
Good call, though.
Because he started. He started some games there.
Butler strikes out. That's 4 for Phil Umber. So we've got 3. (2008). Brett Tomko. Wasn't he on that team? Not in September. Well, the guys that we named, I remember those 3 guys had great finishes to the 2008 season. Greinke, Mesh, and Davies. And as a result, we were all fired up about what they might be able to carry into 2009.
I think who came up in September?
Brian Bannister. Royals down in the 5th. Time The Royals had starters with 5 straight winning decisions. Was in 2008. Who were they? Gil Mesh twice. Zach Greinke, Brian Bannister, and Kyle Davies. There you have it.
Where are they now?
Louisiana, Milwaukee,
Georgia?
Toronto,
Georgia.
Oh, Georgia. That's
Well,
right, because Toronto's minor league season is over. And we assume the Bay Area of California. Chopped to third, and Moustakas gets Alex Rios, and he is 0 for 3. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals. They may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre with Frank White and Joel Goldberg, with producer Kevin Shank, director Dean Andrick, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, and the producer of Royals Live is TJ McGinnis. Two balls and no strikes on Adam Dunn, who is struck out and fouled out to second. Three and 0. Three and 1. Three balls, 2 strikes. Seems like that's what we've seen from Adam Dunn every time the Royals have faced the White Sox. Pretty hittable fastballs that he's just simply not catching up to.
Well, the swing is just a little bit too long, and he's just not giving himself a chance, right? I think the worst thing you can do, right, is slow the ball down. I mean, you can throw the ball by him a little bit up in the zone, and you might as well attack that spot until he makes an adjustment. And so far this year, that's been a tough thing for him to do.
You think we'll see a trimmer Adam Dunn in spring training next year?
I would think so. I mean, I think that you have to figure out that sometimes weight does play a big part in your success in this game. And in the National League, he did play some first base, and he got a chance to be on the field a little bit more. Where the DH spot, you tend to get a little lazy. You got to really push yourself in the DH spot.
And we didn't see a lot of him. We saw him with Cincinnati in interleague play. We saw him last year in Washington, and maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention. I just don't remember him being that big.
Well, you're probably right. I mean, when you go from playing there on the field every day pretty much and it goes straight to DH, then you can watch. You have to watch yourself for sure.
Don't forget, you can secure your priority to the 2012 All-Star Game with 2012 season tickets. It's the only way to make sure you are part of Kansas City history. For details, go to Royals.com/2012. Ball 1-2, Alejandro De Aza. Probably wouldn't hurt Adam Dunn to have a little chat with Jeff Francoeur about what dropping 20 or 25 pounds did for his career.
Well, that's true too. And even though you take a look at Felipe Paulino, I mean, he's a big guy, and a lot of times when the Royals get their players, and next spring they look like different players. And when you a little on the heavier side, now you start having back problems. And you start and your abdominal muscles and your back kind of go together. So if your abs are weak, then your back usually suffers. So they always have to be the same strength in order to keep them regulated the same way. So I think it would really help Felipe Paulino to trim down a little bit too, and just try to ease whatever back problems that's been developing with him. I don't know what magic Ty Hill had, who is the strength coordinator for the Royals, but it works for a lot of guys on this ball club.
is a foul ball. You know, and muscle weighs a lot more than fat does. And so some guys will think that they're getting better just because they get bigger as far as muscle goes, where you're, as you said, you know, you're just putting more weight on your frame, more weight on the spine.
Man, it's such a balance that you got to have, and when you look at your hamstring muscles versus your quad muscles, I mean, whatever amount of weight you do on your hamstrings, you have to do the same amount of weight on your quads. So any imbalance runs the risk of pulling one or the other. So, and that's the same with your abdominal muscles and your back muscles. They have to be on the same page with each other in order to respond the same way.
Two and two on De Aza. Walked on 4 pitches in the second. Single to center in the fourth. That was an 11-pitch at bat. Right after he fouled off 8 in a row, he singled to center field. So you should have a pretty good idea by now what Felipe Paulino has to offer.
Well, he's got 5 pitches already in this at bat, and I just think that he just does a good job of taking a tough breaking ball and fouling them off until he gets the pitch he wants. And Paulino's made some good pitches to him, but he's been able to foul those pitches off.
Foul tip and a strikeout. Paulino's third. Well, college hoops fans, the Progressive CBE Classic is back in Kansas City, coming up on November 21st. So go to Sprint Center. You'll see Mizzou take on Notre Dame, Cal, and Georgia. The championship doubleheader is on November 22nd. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Center field. Easy play for Melky Cabrera. And that's the inning. To the bottom of the 6th. Royals lead 5-3.
To 3 as we go to our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Darren Watson from Overland Park, Kansas. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Darren will win $100. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Darren will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
All right, Darren, you have Jeff Francoeur, Mike Moustakas, who is homer tonight, and Johnny Giavotella. Felipe Paulino at 112 pitches. Phil Umber delivering his 79th, so he's down by 2, but in better shape in regard to pitch count. He allowed 2 in the first, 3 in the fourth. And a line drive off of Umber, rolls past Konerko, And for the second time in 2 games, Royals hitter drills a White Sox pitcher. Last night it was Alcides Escobar hitting Mark Burley with a line drive.
This is just a serious line drive, and Umber was lucky that he was able to turn his back to this, and just hopefully didn't hit him on his pitching hand. But that was a solid contact right there. It might have got a little bit of his hand or his arm, a little bit of leg, a little bit of everything.
Burley was hit on the arm and had a bruised biceps muscle. That's what we found out after the game. That looked like that got Umber on the hip or the glute.
The glute.
He wants to stay in, and the White Sox will probably make him throw at least 1 pitch to prove he's all right.
So that really had to get a part of his arm if they're going to make him throw a pitch.
Well, Humber says he's fine. This week on Fox NFL Sunday, the Bears look to build off their Week 1 win and stay undefeated as they head to New Orleans to take on the Saints. They're trying to bounce back from a tough loss. Or the Cowboys battle the 49ers in San Francisco. Coverage begins with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at 11 a.m. So Phil Umber will stay in, and he'll get Mike Moustakas, who will bat with a runner at first, nobody out, and he is tonight's Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment.
0 for 35 against the White Sox coming in tonight's game, and he just gets the pitch here. 2-run homer in the right field bullpen, and give Felipe Paulino a little bit of breathing room and break that streak. And you would never tell he was 0 for 35. He's overly excited in the dugout.
Umber hits the outside, strike 1. Moustakas has hit in 6 in a row. Royals with 5 runs, 8 hits. Chicago with 3 runs, 7 hits. Thinking that Francoeur might take off. 1-1.
Well, just trying to give A.J. Brzezinski a chance in case Francoeur does take off.
Francoeur flinching over at first base. He'll run after the base hit from Moustakas, and he'll go first to third. 2 hits for Moustakas, and runners in the corners with nobody out.
Phil Umber goes back into the same spot he did when Moustakas hit the home run, and Moustakas does the same thing. Hits a hard line drive right out of there down the right field line, and you see Jeff Francoeur, no hesitation at second base, goes all the way first to third.
Now Johnny Giavotella, he's 0 for 2, but in his last at-bat, he lined out to center field, and he lays off a pitch low. Umber hoping he would roll that over for a ground ball and a double play. Two 2-0. Two balls and 1 strike. Addison Reed, a right-hander whom the Royals have not seen yet. warms up in the White Sox bullpen. Umber at 86 pitches, and remember, just 2 batters ago, he was drilled on the leg by Jeff Francoeur.
Yeah, they had to bring back a lot of memories. As hard as Jeff Francoeur hit that ball back through the middle, and early in the season when the line drive went right off the forehead of Phil Umber, and that put him on the DL. And any pitcher, when that ball comes back through the middle, you don't have any time to move at all.
2-2. Giavotella makes contact. Konerko will come to the plate, and he throws wild. Francoeur scores. Giavotella was running to second, but realized Moustakas was still there. It is 6-3 Royals.
Well, Giavotella just tops this ball to first. Konerko comes in, but never did get a grip on this ball and threw it to the outfield side to Przinsky at the plate. And Francoeur hustling all the way on the play. It dives to the outside of the plate. He's safe, and the ball bounces away. That was all on the bad throw by Konerko to home plate. Przinsky was pretty fortunate to be able to keep that ball from getting by him.
So they're going to call it just a fielder's choice, no error, and an RBI for Giavotella. Salvador Perez has walked and popped out to first base. And that's drilled to right. De Aza to the wall, and he makes the catch. And Mike Moustakas upset at himself that he didn't tag and go to third. And as we look at the flags, all of a sudden there's a strong wind blowing in from right field, and a little different weather conditions, and that might have been a home run.
Well, that's true. Now, we've seen Salvador Perez go off the right field wall on a fastball out over the plate like this one, and Diaz makes a really nice play in the corner, and then Moose has got to be at second base tagging on that play when the ball is being caught, and he just waited a little bit too long to get back to the base and tag up.
So first and second to Alcides Escobar. Nothing out of 2 so far. Did he go? Greg Gibson says yes. Escobar struck out in the second and then lost a hit in the fourth. Juan Pierre made a nice diving play in left field on a sinking line drive. One ball, one strike. Two and one. It's just the second time all year that Umber has given up as many as 6 runs in a start. And it's one night after the Royals tagged Mark Burley for 7 runs. Humber also gave up 6 runs on July the 7th against Minnesota.
I think, too, just paying way too much attention to Moustakas at second base and no stolen bases and being a little too quick to the plate, not giving himself a chance to gather and be compact coming to the plate. And I think that's hurt Humber's concentration.
Center field again. Moustakas will tag this time. So he goes to third. There are 2 outs. Alex Gordon is 1 for 3. Led off the first inning with a solid base hit to center field, then stole second, his 17th of the year. And since then, he has grounded out twice. Alex has scored 98 runs.
That's what a leadoff hitter does. Score runs.
And he hasn't batted leadoff all year, but that's where he's settled in. It appears that that's where he's going to bat next year. And that's kind of the benchmark number for a leadoff man. 100 runs scored. And he is 2 away from that. One and one. Royals have added a run in this inning. Jeff Francoeur scoring on a Johnny Giavotella fielder's choice. That is below the knees, and it is 2-1. Royals are 9-5 in September, trying to finish the season strong. Last month, they only won 10 games, so they could tie last month's total in wins tonight. And it's only the 16th of the month. 3-1. So Ned Yost and the Royals are already excited about 2012. All these young guys coming back with quite a bit of big league experience. So it sure would help if they go out with a winning month.
Yeah, it would help everybody for sure. And we talk about Alex on the verge of scoring 100 runs. The last Royals player to do that was David DeJesus back in 2007. So that would be a big feather in Alex's cap, too, to be able to score 100 runs.
So in our Sonic Slam inning, the bases are loaded with 2 down, and Melky Cabrera to the plate.
Well, Darren Watson, I hope you're watching because there's pretty exciting stuff going on right now. $25,000.
And who, you ask, has hit the only grand slam for the Royals this year? Melky Cabrera. July 29th at the Indians against Carlos Carrasco. You may not remember the grand slam, but you might remember Carlos Carrasco's next pitch sailing over Billy Butler's head.
That's when you say, Melky, play the game right.
Fastball rides away. It's 1-1. Melky's 0 for 3 against Humber tonight. This will be his 25th pitch of the inning and his 103rd of the night. And Melky fouls it off of his foot. Moustakas at third, Giavotella at second, Gordon at first. Still 1-2.
This is a grand slam that made it controversial right here when he stood there and kind of admired it. But he really got all of it and got it in the right field bleachers. And like you say, Ryan, it was the after effect of that grand slam that people remember most.
Fouled away again. And the very next pitch went over Billy Butler's head. Carlos Carrasco was ejected. The Royals dugout poured out onto the field. Carrasco ended up being suspended for 6 games. Two and two.
You think Billy and Melky had a conversation after that? Well, the ball seems to be traveling pretty good to right field. So see if we can get something up in the wind.
A line drive to center. Rios is back and makes a leaping play. Royals get 1 and lead by 3. In a row with a 3-run lead. Every Wednesday is Ink Student Night and Local Music Showcase. That means you get a $7 game ticket, pregame happy hour specials, and enjoy one of KC's best bands. Coming up on Wednesday, September 21st, music from Cowboy Indian Bear before the Royals take on the Tigers at 7:10. That's Cowboy Indian Bear when the Royals face the Tigers. Chevy called to the bullpen. Blake Wood on for the 7th. So Felipe Paulino, 6 innings, 3 runs, and leads with a 3-run lead. White Sox with 3 runs tonight, and Gordon Beckham has scored twice. Walk leading off the 3rd. Came around to score on Paul Konerko's ground out. Singled with 1 out in the 5th and scored on Alexei Ramirez base hit. 1-1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two and 2 to Gordon Beckham. Having a tough year. Base hit tonight, getting his average up over 230. White Sox first round pick out of the University of Georgia in 08, and then he was in the big leagues in 09. And he grounds it into center field. So he's been a good leadoff man, or at least a good spark plug to get things going for the White Sox. Second time he has led off an inning by reaching. And now we go to the top of the order. Juan Pierre has scored the other White Sox run. He opened the game with a single to right. A.J. Pierzynski got him home with a sac fly. Pierre has 2 out of 3.
He's one of the few White Sox players that are doing everything they can do every day in and day out to compete. He's one of those guys that are living up to his billing, and got a lot of guys underachieving on that White Sox ball club, and that's one reason you don't see them competing for the Central Division title.
It is 1-1 on Juan Pierre. Blake Wood really wants to come out and throw strikes tonight. Pitched on Wednesday against Minnesota and had a rough time getting out of that outing. It included 3 straight walks and forced in a run. 2-1. After a leadoff double, remember Alcides Escobar turned in that unassisted double play, but then an infield single and the 3 straight walks. 2-2 against Juan Pierre. The last time the Royals won 6 in a row was May of 2009. Still 2-2. Wow. White Sox have provided quite a few souvenirs tonight.
Yeah, you don't mind when they're real high, but there's been some hot ones going in there. Some few empty seats in the right spot tonight.
Look out.
Man.
I feel like I've seen this before with Juan Pierre at the plate.
Oh, yeah. Not quite as bad as Joey Gathright. Remember?
Oh,
he was dangerous.
now he pulls one on the ground, and Giavotella had it up against his body, but just couldn't find the grip. It's an error on Giavotella, and the White Sox have 2 on with nobody out.
Well, that's a play right here where Johnny should have just gave up on a double play and just went strictly to first base here. He's still thinking about 2, but once he doesn't have the grip, put himself down, make sure you get it and make the play at first base. So he just that's one of those things you got to stop. Sometimes you just got to stop, get the ball, and then make the play. When your head is still on first and you're trying to find the ball with your hands, sometimes it's not where you want it to be.
And now Moustakas And the Royals will get one out. And by getting Pierre, the double play is still in order. Beckham to third. Ramirez is at first. And with Blake Wood, if his sinker is working, he's getting ground balls.
Heads up play by Moose right here to get that lead runner, keep that force out and that double play in order. You know, Johnny, when he makes a play like that, you just got to know it's going to be a one-out play and don't think about two. Just get one and get out of the way, just like he did on that play.
Paul Konerko with his 101st RBI of the year with a ground out in the third inning. He is 1 for 3. He is 0 for 5 against Blake Wood. Paul Konerko with 29 home runs, 101 RBIs. He is 1 home run away from his 5th season with at least 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. No chance for a double play, but the Royals will take the second out with Konerko at the plate.
I mean, he really put the bat on this line drive, and Moustakas had an idea of getting a force out at third, but Gordon Beckham did a good job of base running on that line drive.
And now A.J. Pierzynski drove in his 42nd run in the first inning. He's 0 for 2. Ball one outside. He has 1 career at bat against Blake Wood, and he has a single. One and one. Ball and 2 strikes. Taco Bell is helping boys and girls club teens go to college with the Graduate to Go program. Log on to graduatetogo.com to learn more. "58 degrees at first pitch tonight, 56 degrees last night. Blocked by Perez.
Yeah, very good block. The man on third base, this crucial block right there, slider down in the dirt, and he does a good job of sliding over and keeping it in front of him. Save your team a run right there, but it doesn't. There's no column for it.
Ramirez runs, and Pierzynski lines it to center field. So he drives in a run. Ramirez goes first to third, and A.J. Pierzynski has 4 hits in the first 2 games of the series. That line drive almost took Blake Wood with it into center field.
Yeah, Blake left the pitch out over the plate, and Pierzynski put a good swing on it right back through the box. And, you know, he was pretty fortunate that he was able to escape this line drive back through the middle. Get a good look at it here. Just right over his back. And you see Beckham coming in, and with Ramirez running on the play, third base was easy for him to pick up.
And a slow roller up the middle is handled by Escobar. He'll go to the bag. The White Sox get 1 to make it a 2-run game. 8th annual coat drive prior to tonight's game and tomorrow night's game. Royals wives and community volunteers will collect gently used coats in all sizes 1 hour before tomorrow's game at the Diamond Club. For more information, visit royals.com/community. Frank, you were down there greeting some of the fans, and good collection of coats tonight. Chevy call to the bullpen. It's Addison Reed, a right-hander coming on for Chicago.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun down there. Betty Cagle, Billy Butler's wife was there, and my wife Teresa, Salvador Perez's wife. I'm sorry, his mother was there. A lot of wives, but his mother was there, and the fans were real generous tonight with their coats and buying the secret bags, whatever the secret was in the secret bag. I never could figure it out, but it was $20, and they were doing a great job of buying those.
You know, you bring up a good point, though, with Salvador Perez's mom being there, that the guys are so young on this roster, we might have to have, a different branch of Royals charities. We might have to have the Royals moms.
Didn't think about that, but you're
more
right.
moms than there are wives.
You are right about that.
There's Salvador and his mom. A touching moment last night as Salvador was with Joel Goldberg during the postgame show, and Salvador talking to his mom in Spanish.
She's up there somewhere, I think. She's all the way up there. All right. So how about a message in Spanish, and then maybe you could translate for us in English for your mom.
Te amo mucho, mamá. Gracias por darme la oportunidad de estar aquí. Te amo mucho. I love my mom so much. Thank you. Gracias.
Salvador Perez and his mom.
And as we learned before the game last night, Salvador's mom raising Salvador all by herself with some help from her mother since Salvador was 4 years old. So she is very much a part of what he's accomplished in his baseball career.
You're right about that. I made out the mucho part, and that means before that he said I love you mucho as much. So you see Alcides Escobar, he smiles a lot, but I don't think anyone has a bigger, brighter smile than Salvador Perez.
Eric Hosmer has 2 hits, a run scored, and a stolen base tonight. Good fastball at 94. Hosmer just taking a nice easy swing and trying to poke it into left field. Man, where would that ball have gone?
He attacks the ball.
96 with that fastball. 1-2. Addison Reed, 3rd round pick of the White Sox just last year out of San Diego State. A couple of years ago, he pitched with Steven Strasburg at San Diego State. So he got to the big leagues quickly. The White Sox 1st round pick last year, Chris Sale, got to the big leagues that same season. Tim Collins appears to be getting ready for the 8th inning. Adam Dunn, Alejandro De Aza, and Brent Morrell coming up. Dunn and De Aza left-hand hitters. Hosmer pulls it on the ground to Beckham. Hosmer is out. He is 2 for 4. And now Jeff Francoeur, who is 3 for 3. He is tonight's Chevrolet plays of the game.
Well, he's had an outstanding night, putting together 3 hits and pretty much helped the Royals in all facets of the game. He drove in 2 runs, he scored 2 runs, and put 3 hits on the board.
Takes down and away from Addison Reed. And by driving in 2 runs tonight, that gives him 80, and the Royals have 4 hitters with 80 RBIs. De Aza sprints to the line, goes over the line, and makes a foul ball catch. To the 8th inning, Royals lead 6-4. We head to the 8th inning. Panera will take us around the American League. Baltimore beating the Angels 8-3, so the Angels starting to run out of time. They're 3.5 back when play started. Toronto beating New York 5-4. And Boston is in front of Tampa Bay 4-3. Tampa Bay just 3 games back of the Red Sox for the wild card. Cleveland is leading at Minnesota. Detroit is at Oakland. They're just getting underway. And Texas is at Seattle. And at the moment, Texas has a 4-game lead with the Angels' loss. Tim Collins will pitch the 8th, 65th appearance. And he has a couple of left-hand batters coming up. Adam Dunn, Alejandro De Aza, and then right-hand hitting Brent Morrell. 0-1.
Well, I like that pitch. I mean, how about throwing 3 in a row?
No balls, 2 strikes.
Sometimes you just got to recognize when you have a hitter beat.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Felipe Paulino went 6, gave up 3 runs. Blake Wood allowed 1 run in the 7th. Two and 2. So he had him beat on a fastball and then curveball, changeup. And now 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, sometimes you don't have to pitch, meaning you don't have to use all your pitches to every hitter. When you recognize something, then you just got to stay with it until the hitter makes you change.
And that's about the best we've seen Adam Dunn do with a good fastball there. It's just swat it foul.
Just swat it foul, and if you elevate it just a little bit, he's swinging under it and missing it completely.
Not that one. Deep center field, but Melky has a play. Again, it's into the wind, which has picked up even stronger in the last 2 innings. So hit it pretty good, but into the wind and out. Final results for our Sprint You Call It question. Most impressive start last 5 times through. And fans tonight going with our production team. Everett Teaford with his 5 scoreless innings on Sunday in his first major league start, followed by Felipe Paulino and then Bruce Chen. Ball 1 to Alejandro De Aza. Walked in the second, singled in the fourth, struck out in the sixth. And that's into left center field and will drop in front of Melky Cabrera. So De Aza is on for the 3rd time. Ned Yost has Aaron Crow ready in the bullpen. And with some right-hand hitters coming up, Morel and Beckham, Ned's going to stick with Tim Collins. And when Collins was the only lefty in the bullpen, Ned made it very clear that Collins will have an advantage with the lefty-lefty matchups, but there was always a belief that he could get right-handers out as well.
Well, he does have the stuff to get right-handers out. It's a matter of you just got to throw. You just got to make your pitches. I mean, he's got a good enough changeup, good enough curveball, and definitely a good enough fastball. But it's all about staying ahead of hitters. That's what gets hitters out. When you're behind hitters a lot, you make hitters that much better.
2-1 on Morel. Oh, how about that young guy? His dad comes up with a souvenir, or maybe that's just a guy. Drilled to left field. Alex Gordon at the fence, and the game is tied in the 8th inning. So anyway, let's go back to that little kid in the stands. It's a more pleasant scene than Brent Morel tying the game. So a 1-out single and a 2-run home run. Anyway, that little guy got the foul ball from that older fan. And the little boy said, "Thank you, but sir, I think you should have it." And now it's back in the young Royals fans' hands again.
That's awesome. Well, we talked about Tim Collins and being able to stay ahead of hitters so his stuff will play, but he gets behind Morel and he gets behind him and has to come in with a fastball. And when you're behind hitters, you make them better. And he's able to hit this ball in the Royals bullpen.
Beckham cracked his bat. Alex makes the play in left field, and that's the first time Beckham has been retired. He has scored 3 runs tonight. So the Royals suffer a blown save, their 21st of the year. And now Juan Pierre, who has 2 base hits, and he's been on with an error. Curveball drops in for a strike. Lower third of the order has been most productive for the White Sox. They have scored 5 of the 6 runs. De Aza, Morel, and Beckham. Two and two. Royals have led 2-1, 5-2, and 6-3. Chicago with 1 in the 7th, 2 here in the 8th to tie it. Three balls and 2 strikes. Collins might be down to his last pitch. walk to Pierre. So Ned Yost, with faith in Tim Collins and with Aaron Crow ready in the bullpen, stayed with Collins, who gives up the 2-run home run, and now Ned can't go any further with him. And it will be Aaron Crow with a runner at first and 2 outs. Chicago getting 1 in the 7th and now 2 in the 8th to tie it up, so that'll snap the string of 5 in a row, won by a Royals starting pitcher. Felipe Paulino will have to settle for a no decision. The 2 runs coming against Tim Collins, and now Aaron Crow, and here it's Juan Pierre at first base, and with 2 outs we'll get Alexei Ramirez. You know, a little while ago we showed you in the Royals dugout Bruce Chen, and I noticed that sitting near Bruce, and I'm not sure if he's still there, was Joakim Soria. So again, this would be 2 nights in a row, if that's still the case, where Soria is on the bench and not in the bullpen, and there he is. So a reason why perhaps Ned Yost stuck with Tim Collins a little bit longer, hoping that maybe Aaron Crow could finish the game. Although Aaron Crow finished the game last night, so instead of bringing in Crow to face the right-hand batter, Crow comes on after Morel hits the 2-run home run, and it appears that if the Royals get into a save situation tonight, it will be Greg Holland.
It'll be Greg Holland for sure. That is a fine balance between whether you want Collins to face those right-handed hitters or not, or bring Crow in to face him. But you know, you always play a hunch in that situation. But when you got a guy that's ready to go, sometimes it's better to bring that guy in and let him go ahead and do what he does, and hope he can get you to the 9th inning and get Holland in the game.
Well, when Collins is throwing strikes, right-handers are only hitting .222 against him. Lefties at .206. So that's that balance that Ned Yost have been talking about, where Collins does have the ability to get right-handers out almost as effectively as he gets the lefties, but just not tonight.
Right, and it's all predicated on being ahead of hitters, and he does, no doubt, he does have the stuff.
Over the mound, Giavotella led right to the bag, but he has to field in front of the bag, and Ramirez beat it out. And that means Paul Konerko comes to the plate with 2 on instead of the inning being over. So that's a big play for the White Sox as Ramirez gets a hustling infield single.
And the way he hits this ball, he's hitting this ball reaching out, so that gets his momentum going toward first base. Giavotella comes across, but the throw's late. He gets it in good shape there, gets rid of it. Ramirez's speed was a little too much on that play. If he didn't have to reach for that ball and get his momentum going toward first, that might have been a little different story.
So it's Crowe and Konerko. Konerko now with 101 RBIs, 10 of those against the Royals this year. He is 0 for 4 against Aaron Crowe. And Konerko ended the game last night with a line drive to third caught by Navarro. Didn't look very good on that swing, 0-1.
That was a pitch that definitely fooled Paul Konerko. A slider on the outside corner. He was way late on that swing.
One ball and one strike. Adam Dunn opened the inning with a fly ball to deep center field. Alejandro De Aza singled. Brent Morel hit a 2-run home run. Gordon Beckham flied out. Juan Pierre walked. And then Aaron Crowe replaced Tim Collins and gave up an infield single to Ramirez. And he missed the slider again. And Crowe has the advantage, 1-2.
Well, he's got that good slider. It breaks late. Looks like a fastball. And all of a sudden just dives straight down and away from the right-handed hitter. And 2 pitches in this inning. Paul Konerko's been a little late on one and just fooled by the second one.
And just able to foul it away to stay alive. Pierre at second base with excellent speed. Ramirez with good speed at first. And a fastball. Wow. Tim Cheetah squeezes Aaron Crowe. Well, we know the pitch surprised Konerko because he was getting slider after slider. It may have locked up the umpire.
Well, this is a pitch that Aaron Crowe definitely needs to have right there, right across the knees. Just a very good pitch, and it froze Konerko and everybody else behind him. Got to have that pitch.
Fouls the slider away, still 2-2. Now just watch Salvador Perez turn his chin to his left shoulder and very subtly ask Tim Cheetah. So another more evidence that he is beyond his years, knowing when is the right time to say something to the umpire, not when everybody's looking and expecting him to turn to the umpire. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. If Perez does that right after that pitch a couple of pitches ago isn't a strike, that's one way to anger a guy like Tim Cheetah, who's been around for a long time. But he waited for another pitch, just kind of turned his chin to his shoulder, said something to Tim Cheetah. Tim Cheetah said something back to him. He nodded his head and went back to work.
Well, that's being professional about that whole situation. I agree with you on that one all the way.
And Konerko strikes out. So Crowe gets out of it anyway, but the White Sox tied the game in the 8th.
here at Kauffman Stadium. Joel Goldberg and Jeff Montgomery getting ready for Boulevard Royals Live. We'll be talking about Mike Moustakas, still hot at the plate, but breaking a cold slump against the White Sox. Also, Felipe Paulino, low strikeout game for him. We'll analyze that. Highlights, reaction, and fireworks Friday after the game on Boulevard Royals Live. Ryan?
All right, thank you, Joel. And Mike Moustakas will be leading off the bottom of the 8th inning with a 2-run home run and a single. And he'll face Addison Reed for the first time. Royals scoring all 6 of their runs against Phil Umber, and only the second time this year Umber has given up that many runs in a start. Addison Reed took over in the 7th and faced 3 and retired 3. So Moustakas in 11 at-bats during this homestand has 6 hits and 2 home runs. No balls and 2 strikes. Off the netting in front of the White Sox dugout.
Wow. Without that netting, somebody definitely wouldn't have been able to move.
One ball, 2 strikes. Moustakas giving Addison Reed a battle. Johnny Giavitello will follow him. And then Salvador Perez. White Sox scored 1 in the first. Royals scored 2 in the bottom of the first. White Sox tied in the third. Royals got 3 in the fourth. Chicago 1 in the fifth. Royals 1 in the sixth. And they had a 6-3 lead at that point, which is 9 outs to go. But Chicago scored 1 in the seventh. And Brent Morrell just hit a 2-run home run for Chicago in the 8th to tie the game again. And for Morrell, that's his first hit in his last 20 at-bats against the Royals. And Moustakas gets it through Gordon Beckham and into right field.
You can see Beckham almost like he didn't see this ball right away. Broke to his left first. By the time he made the adjustment to his right, the ball got by on the end of his glove. It was a hard-hit line drive by Mike Moustakas. He doesn't take that one step to his left. He catches that ball just off the end of his glove.
So 3 hits for Moustakas. Go ahead run at first with nobody out. And we'll see what the Royals do now with Johnny Giavitello. He has not laid down a sacrifice bunt since joining the Royals, but he is squaring around early, and he missed. 0-1.
Well, you can see him really flinch when he went to bunt this ball. He's not real comfortable in this sacrifice situation. You can tell by the way his body reacted, and it was almost like he was going to stab at it versus sitting there and letting the ball hit the bat. So it.
And now he bunts it foul, 0-2.
But, you know, just not really just picking on Johnny Giavitello, but just talking about the middle infield play of any ball club when you have guys who don't hit the ball out of the ballpark. It's this time of the game where you really can utilize everything that they can do to help the ball club win. And right now, your middle infielders have to be able to sacrifice. They have to be able to advance runners late in the game, because this is what it is. This is where the pressure of the game comes right here.
Swings and misses and strikes out. Giavitello is 0 for 4. for Addison Reed, his second strikeout. So Mustaka is still at first. And now Salvador Perez, who just missed hitting a home run in the 6th inning, fly to the wall in right field into a strong win. Be a bad guy if the Royals wanted to try a little hit and run with his ability to hit the ball to the right side.
Well, he does have that ability. I agree with you on that one, Ryan.
You don't have a fast runner at first, but you also have a catcher who doesn't throw like he used to, and the Royals have already swiped 2 against A.J. Pierzynski.
It's about the hitter's ability to make contact.
Takes ball 1.
You know, a lot of times managers look at the pitcher on the mound and see how much he's around the plate. And if he's around the plate a lot, then sometimes that'll give you an indication that maybe you can put a hit and run on. But if he's a little bit all over the place, then it's going to be tough when you got a young hitter at the plate to hit that borderline pitch.
Looked like he was trying to take a shot at the right side and fouled it back.
Well, I mean, he's got good strength, and we're finding out that his strength at right field on the fastball out over the plate is pretty dang on good. It's kind of amazing that early in the game, Philip Ulmer went inside on him and jammed him and popped him up, but they haven't been back inside the rest of the night.
And now down in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I think it took at those 2 swings right there, and basically you're talking about just swinging a little too hard. And how about that?
How about that, Frank? Top defensive player in the organization a couple of years ago.
That's the whole organization.
Named after some guy who won 8 Gold Gloves.
The entire organization.
You know, and we saw in spring training this year the defensive ability, and the thinking was that, you know, the bat will come along eventually. And, you know, it's not a big sample, but he's played in 30 games now, and he's hitting .313 in the big leagues. And he has been a tough out with 2 strikes. And I remember in his big league debut in Tampa Bay, that was one of the first things that Joel talked about in one of his reports about Salvador Perez in assessing his offensive game, that one of his strengths was his ability to put the ball in play and avoid strikeouts.
Well, Ross hitting coach Kevin Seitzer says, I don't just like his 2-strike approach, I like all of his approach.
Up into the mist, and De Aza makes the play, 2 down. Comes Ozzie again out to talk to Tim Cheetah. So he's going to make a pitching change, but has something he had to get off of his mind before pointing to the bullpen. So it'll be Matt Thornton, a lefty, to come on to face Alcides Escobar. single in the inning from Mike Moustakas, but rookie Addison Reed was able to retire Giavitella and Perez, and Moustakas is still at first. And Ozzie Guillen has brought on left-hander Matt Thornton. The White Sox during the offseason allowed Bobby Jenks to leave as a free agent. He was their longtime closer, and looks like a good move now for Chicago. Jenks has been on the disabled list 3 times. The White Sox had to find a closer, and they first went to Matt Thornton, but he blew his first 4 save opportunities and had an ERA of over 8.5 in April. So back to his setup role. Moustakas runs, and Moustakas steals second base. That is his first major league stolen base, and it puts the go-ahead run in scoring position.
That's a gamble you can take when you're the home team. But he went on first move, a high leg kick from Andy Thornton. I'm sorry, from Matt Thornton. I'm thinking about the hitter, Andy Thornton. But he had a high leg kick. Mike Moustakas took advantage of it.
And now it's 0-2 on Escobar. Andre Thornton. Is that who you're thinking of?
Cleveland.
Yep.
Yes. I had a chance to meet Andre the Giant one time in Detroit. You're talking about the biggest hands on a man you ever want to see.
Still 0-2 on Escobar, who is 0 for 3 tonight.
Well, big stolen base by Mike Moustakas right there.
Escobar is 0 for 2 in the past against Matt Thornton. And that was the pitch Thornton wanted him to chase. 1-2. Still 1-2.
Yeah, it's really amazing when you look at the psyche of pitchers and you say, okay, you're the setup guy, and you go in there and you pitch lights out. Then all of a sudden you say, no, you look pretty good there. I'm going to move you to the closer role. And even though he's got the stuff, it's all what's in the head. That those last 3 outs can be so tough for certain pitchers to get.
In the air to center field. And Alex Rios puts an end to the inning. So we go to the 9th, tied at 6. Temperature down into the low 50s and a light drizzle falling. Royals had a 6-3 lead going into the 7th inning, but Chicago scoring 3 runs in the 7th and 8th innings. So we're tied up. And Greg Holland, who was preparing, I'm sure, for a chance at another save. Joakim Soria, still bothered by a tight hamstring, is in the Royals dugout, not out in the bullpen. Instead, Holland comes on in the 9th in a tie game to get A.J. Pierzynski, Alex Rios, and Adam Dunn. That is just foul. Pierzynski, when he first came off the disabled list, hit 167 in his first 12 games. But in the last 2, he is 4 out of 7. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's driven in 2 runs tonight with a first inning sacrifice fly and a 7th inning single. One and two.
Well, that's one of the best sliders there, Greg Holland. I mean, that's what you call a disappearing slider underneath the bat of A.J. Pierzynski.
And chased another one, but it gets by Perez. And now Pierzynski just kind of dancing around over at first base. There we go. Somebody might want to call timeout. There you go.
Yeah, that's what A.J. was waiting to see if anybody's going to call timeout and see if Perez is going to drop his head or lob the ball to the pitcher or something he can take advantage of. And finally, Tim Cheetah called timeout. Yeah, Salvador ball might have hit him in a spot that wasn't very comfortable.
Eduardo Escobar is going to run at first base for Pierzynski. It's a strikeout and a wild pitch charged to Greg Holland. And ball 1 to Alex Rios. He is 0 for 4. Two and 0. Rios trying to put the White Sox in front by 2. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, good fastball from Greg Holland. Ball had a lot of movement to it, especially up in the zone.
Four at bats for Rios against Holland, no hits. Holland has struck him out once. And Rios just gave Greg Holland a free pitch.
Well, you're right, Ron. That's just giving a pitch away right there. If you're going to call timeout, you have to wait to get it before you back out of the box. That makes this slider that much more effective.
3-2. Backed up a little bit on him. Started to run back into Rios.
Yeah, let's have him try to overthrow it. It'll back up. You know, just gripping a little too tight, trying to spin it a little too hard.
Still 3-2. Well, the Royals in the bottom of the 8th had the leadoff man on. Mike Moustakas singled. Giavotella tried to bunt him up, struck out. Perez flied out. And then Moustakas with 2 outs stole second base, but Matt Thornton retired Escobar on a fly out, and now the White Sox in the 9th. Leadoff man on thanks to a strikeout wild pitch. Escobar was running and it's fouled away.
Now he doesn't have a stolen base and had no. That was his first attempt, but on 3-2 count, looks like he had a pretty good jump off first base.
Not running, and that's drilled to center field, but Melky Cabrera is back, and he runs it down on the warning track. Not tonight. We've seen a couple of home runs. Morel has hit one to left, Moustakas to right, but those were line drive home runs. Anything up in the air and toward the middle of the ballpark are just dying.
Now that ball I thought was hit a lot better than that, and it died right at the warning track. Line drives time tonight when you get through that cold wind, just hit it low and mainly in left field, right field, but in the deep pockets, they're holding up.
Right down the middle for a ball.
I'm not sure, but that's where they're supposed to throw it.
Chopped to first, and for a moment, Hosmer was thinking about playing it like a football wide receiver, and if he could just keep his feet in bounds and grab the ball. Now that works in football, but in baseball, it's where the ball is, not where the receiver's feet are.
Where the ball is, you're right.
And now it's 2-1 on Adam Dunn. Into left center, and Alex Gordon is there. So the White Sox, like the Royals, get the leadoff man on, but that runner is still at first with 2 outs. No television tomorrow night or Sunday afternoon. The Royals have Monday off. And then Tuesday night, it will be Felipe Paulino, scheduled at this point to start on Tuesday against the Tigers. That would only be 3 days rest.
I don't think they want to bring him back on 3 days rest this time of the year. Saturday,
Sunday, Monday, and pitching on Tuesday. But he is the scheduled starter right now for Tuesday against Detroit. 0-2 on De Aza.
Well, Holland's slider just off the charts. I mean, it just got so much depth to it, and it reacts a little differently than most sliders. Most sliders will go from a right-hander, go from right to left, but his actually just turns right over in the middle of the plate.
Holland strikes out De Aza. Top of the order coming up in the bottom of the ninth. Thornton. Tyler Flowers is now behind the plate. A.J. Pierzynski reached, leading off the ninth, and then Escobar ran for him. So Alex Gordon, Melky Cabrera, Billy Butler. Royals are victims of a blown save tonight. So Felipe Paulino got good run support, which is a switch for him, but bullpen giving up 3 runs in the 7th and 8th innings combined, and now here we are in the 9th inning, tied at 6. Alex singled and scored in the 1st inning and walked in the 6th.
In the 9th inning, a tie game, you can't think of any 3 batters you want to see come up there rather than the Royals' top 3 guys.
Out of play. Billy Butler has driven in a run. Jeff Francoeur has driven in 2. Mike Moustakas 2. Johnny Giavotella 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 7 at-bats for Alex Gordon against Matt Thornton. He has 2 singles. Thornton has struck him out 3 times. And Alex has also reached with a walk. And that is out of play. Still 1-2. And the battle continues. Royals trying to win 6 in a row for the first time since May of 2009. They are going for their 10th win this month, matching their total from last month. And the White Sox are trying to end a 5-game losing streak.
That's the one thing about Matt Thornton's breaking ball. Very rarely does he throw that hard slider for a strike. It's more of a chase pitch for him, but he's not making it good enough. So he's always in a position where he's got to throw his fastball.
And Alex works the count full after falling behind 0-2. And through the right side. Man, what an at-bat. No balls, 2 strikes. Fouled off several pitches. And on the 9th pitch, singles to right.
And he does a good job of getting his hands in on this fastball. And with Thornton, he can't get that breaking ball over. You're pretty much going to get a fastball to hit. And Alex got him into another fastball situation and turned this ball into a hard hit ball in the right field for a base hit. Melky has tried to bunt at times.
And normally does it on his own. Thornton throws to first, and Beckham makes a good play going down to a knee. So the winning run is at second base. Sacrifice has scored 1-4. And now it's Thornton and Butler. White Sox could put Billy Butler on. There is an open base. And then you have left-hand hitting Eric Hosmer coming up next.
Well, I think Ozzie will probably do that. I mean, he definitely plays the odds all the way around. Yeah, the one thing the Royals might try to do, Ryan, is if Thornton is still slow to the plate, Alex Gordon might try to steal third base here.
So that fills up the open base. It gives the White Sox a shot at a ground ball double play. Billy Butler will come out for a pinch runner. It'll be Chris Getz running at first. So Butler gets high fives for a job well done.
Wasn't much thought process to that, was it?
So Hosmer and Thornton. Power and power. Hosmer 2 at-bats and 0 for 2 against Thornton in the past. And chops it foul to the third base side. Hosmer has 2 hits tonight and a run scored. Didn't even check to see if there was a pinch runner. He knew he had to touch first and then take a right turn.
There's very few times you get a high five for intentional walk.
Drilled to left. Juan Pierre can't make the play. Eric Hosmer with another walk-off. Careful what you ask for.
Well, that's true. Thornton left the fastball up out over the plate, and Eric Hosmer absolutely creamed this ball to left field. That Juan Pierre tried to cut across, but this ball was hit a lot harder than he thought. He just misplayed it and went over his head. A great walk-off base hit by Eric Hosmer. And this pitch supposed to be down and away in the middle of the plate, and he jumps all over it. And Pierre had no chance on this ball here. Once he went to his left, this ball's over his head. Alex takes a good look at it, and he knows right away this is going to be it.
So the Royals have won 6 in a row. Let's go down to the field, and here's Joel.
All right, 6 in a row, and a couple of rookies contributing in a big way as Eric Hosmer with the walk-off. All right, Hos, take us through the hit. They intentionally walked Billy Butler. You're going against a very tough lefty. Bring us through it.
Yeah, I know he's a guy who throws hard, and I just after that first one was a little late. Just told myself to get it started earlier, and we had a big hit there. It's a big win for us.
All right, and also. I tried to stretch it out as well as I could. Moose, you okay? You're good. Okay. We'll get back to Haas in a second. Moose, you had a big home run tonight, and you feel okay right now. You're not cold right now.
No, I feel good. Didn't get any water poured on me, so it's a good night. No, but Haas did what he had to do. He ended up winning us the ball game and put a great swing on a great pitch. And that's what he does. He helps us out. Goes and drives the ball to left field in the bottom of the ninth to win us the game. It's easy for him, I guess.
It's easy for him, I guess. The hard part right now is that the kid from Florida is probably freezing cold on this chilly night. And sorry, but Melky did one of these. He went, shh, and he's a veteran. So it's been a while since you guys have had a walk-off, but you keep on winning. How special to be able to win it this way?
It's huge. It has been a while since we had a walk-off, but, it's 6 in a row now, and, this team's we want to finish strong and get you guys excited for next year and get rolling.
I wanted to ask both of you that, and by the way, those were mooses, not any booze out there. I didn't think they were booing Billy and Melky for the Gatorade buckets. But what's motivating you guys at this point? You're playing some of the best baseball you have all year long, and a lot of teams, look like maybe they've given up, but you guys haven't.
Yeah, these guys make it fun to come in the locker room every day and play. And when you're winning, you're coming and everything good's happening. The fans are out here showing us great support, and how do you not come out to this place and just not have a good time out here? It's been great.
Final thought, Moose?
I mean, he said it best. You come out here and you get these great fans out here in the stands in this cold, chilly weather. It's amazing to be able to come out here and play in front of you guys. Thank you guys very much.
Moose, great job. Eric Hosmer, walk-off win. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, that is Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakis, a chorus of Moose, and a very wet Eric Hosmer with 2 Gatorade buckets. Guys?
All right, thank you, Joel. And the intentional walk to Billy Butler to face Eric Hosmer, the lefty. Hosmer gets on top of it, goes the other way, drives it over Juan Pierre, and drives in the winning run. 7-6 Royals in the bottom of the 9th. We'll be right back.